For 40,000 years, the galaxy forgot the name of humans. Once they were explorers, engineers, and warriors. Their cities had glowed on thousands of worlds, and their voices had filled the stars. Then, without warning, they vanished. The fall of humanity was never fully understood. Some believed they destroyed themselves in war. Others said they had moved beyond the galaxy to seek peace. Only broken satellites and silent ruins remained, drifting around dead planets. For thousands of generations, new species rose, built empires, and spoke of humans as myths. Among these species were the Zarn. They were scaled beings with cold yellow eyes and minds sharp as blades. They ruled a wide empire that stretched across half the known galaxy. To them, humans were only legends, creatures of chaos who once challenged the universe and paid the price for their pride. In the present day, the Zarn dominion stood unchallenged. Countless worlds paid tribute to them, and their fleets patrolled every trade route. Yet, in the farthest corner of space, something ancient began to stir. Captain Tresh, commander of the few, mining vessel Corin, sat inside the control room, staring at the dark void on the scanner. The Corin was an old ship, small and slow, used to harvest minerals from asteroid belts. Its crew was made up of merchants, engineers, and a few guards who had long stopped expecting anything exciting to happen. But on that day, the scanners showed something strange. A faint energy pulse came from deep inside the uncharted region known as the Veil of Silence. No one ever went there. It was said to be cursed, a place where ships vanished without trace. "Captain," said Mira, the ship's navigator. Her voice trembled slightly as she looked at the readings. "The signal is not natural. It has pattern and rhythm. It repeats every 20 seconds. Tresh frowned. "What kind of signal?" Mira pressed a few buttons, and the sound filled the control room. It was a series of tones, simple but clear. Then came words. Old, broken and heavy with static. Transmission code. Solace protocol. Human origin. Time index. 40,000 years. The room fell silent. Every crew member turned toward the speaker, unable to believe what they had heard. Human origin. That phrase had not been spoken seriously in ages. "Run it again," said Tresh, leaning forward. The signal repeated, calm and steady. It was real. "Could it be a trick?" asked one of the engineers. "Maybe pirates using old codes." Mira shook her head. "The encryption is ancient, not something modern pirates could fake. The pulse energy signature matches no known Dominion technology." Tresh stood up and stared through the observation window at the swirling dark clouds of the veil. His scales glimmered under the dim light. "Prepare the drone, we will investigate." The mining ship launched a small probe toward the signal. Hours passed. The crew waited in uneasy silence as the drone entered the black region. The readings grew strange. Space seemed distorted, filled with static fields and broken light. Then, at last, the drone's camera picked up an image. A massive structure floated in the void, half buried in darkness. It was shaped like a crescent moon, built from metal that shimmered with faint blue light. Its surface was covered in symbols, ancient human letters mixed with geometric patterns. "It's a ship," whispered Mira. "A giant ship." Tresh's heart beat faster. The last human ship sighting had been a myth from 20,000 years ago. Yet this one looked intact. "Bring the drone closer," he ordered. As the drone approached, the ship responded. The dark surface began to glow. Lines of light spread across the hull, like veins coming to life. The drone's sensors went wild. Power readings rose to impossible levels. Then a voice filled the Corin speakers, deep, human, and calm. Identification: human arc vessel Solace. Mission status: dormant. Awakening initiated. The crew froze. The voice continued. Temporal silence. 40 millennia. Re-entry protocol active. Humanity returns. The Corin's power flickered. Every system trembled as a wave of energy spread through space. It was as if the stars themselves had responded to the ancient call. Mira looked up at the captain. "Captain, we need to leave. The radiation levels are climbing fast." Tresh nodded, snapping out of his shock. "Pull back now." The Corin turned, engines roaring, retreating from the glowing behemoth. As they escaped the veil, The ship behind them continued to awaken. Great panels unfolded from its sides, revealing huge circular engines that pulsed with light. It was no ordinary craft. It was a world-sized ark, an ancient monument to human genius. The energy wave rippled through nearby systems, awakening long-dormant satellites and triggering old defense networks. Across the galaxy, observatories began to pick up the same signal. Every empire, every race heard the same message echo through space. We are humanity. We are returning. Far away on the Dominion capital world of Zarnath, the Council of Lords gathered in alarm. The head of the council, Lord Vasher, listened to the recording sent by deep space monitors. Impossible, he hissed. Humans are extinct. This is a trick. The science minister, a thin being with metal implants, shook his head. The data is authentic. The transponder is human in origin, 40,000 years old. No known species uses this code. The council chamber filled with murmurs. Some were afraid. Others were curious. A few even laughed at the idea of the old myths coming true. Vasher's voice silenced them. Send reconnaissance fleets. If there is truth to this, we will find it before it spreads. He looked out through the vast windows at the stars. If the humans truly return, they will not find the galaxy they left behind. They will find us. Meanwhile, Captain Tresh's ship fled to the nearest relay station. He sent all data to the Dominion network, though deep inside he wondered if that was a mistake. The image of that ship haunted him. The silent colossus glowing in the dark, the voice speaking as if it never forgot its purpose. Mira joined him in the command bay later. Do you think they're still alive? The humans? Tresh took a long breath. After 40,000 years, no life should remain, but that ship was not dead. It was waiting. Something kept it alive. Waiting for what? Tresh turned to the dark window again. For us to forget. The mining ship drifted through calm space, leaving the veil behind. Yet deep in that forgotten region, the Solace continued to awaken. Its engines glowed brighter, and its inner chambers came to life. Machines moved with purpose, repairing walls, restoring systems, and rebuilding forms of flesh and metal. Inside cryogenic chambers, countless human figures lay silent, preserved for ages. Their faces were calm, their eyes closed. Then, one by one, the lights above their capsules turned green. The central core of the ship pulsed, and a voice echoed again, soft but commanding. Revival process begun. Mission resume, reclaim, rebuild, remember. In that moment, a new dawn began in the galaxy. The silence of 40,000 years ended, replaced by the heartbeat of an ancient species rising once more from the dark. Far across the stars, on forgotten worlds and abandoned outposts, dormant human beacons flickered to life, all transmitting the same message. We are humanity. We are not gone. As the Solace stretched its massive wings of energy and prepared for movement, it pointed toward the center of the galaxy. Somewhere beyond those stars lay the remnants of their home, the place where it all began. For now, the universe watched in awe. The myths were real. The ghosts of mankind had returned. The galaxy, long at peace under the Dominion, trembled at what that meant, because if history remembered anything about humans, it was this. They never returned quietly, and the darkness that once hid their silence now became the stage for their awakening. The dark void around the veil of silence was no longer quiet. Every scanner in nearby systems caught strange waves of energy spreading from its center. Some thought it was a dying star. Others believed it was a weapon test. But those who knew the truth kept silent. Deep inside the veil, the great human ship Solace had come alive. Its enormous hull glowed with blue veins of light. The once frozen chambers now hummed with motion. Machines the size of buildings moved through the ship's long corridors, repairing damage and clearing dust that had gathered for millennia. In the center of the ship, the main control core pulsed with white light. Inside it, artificial intelligence awakened from its endless sleep. It had one purpose: to bring humanity back. System check complete, said the AI voice, calm and firm. Human consciousness database stable. Revival protocol active. initiating biological restoration. Across thousands of chambers, the lids of cryogenic pods lifted. Inside lay preserved humans, their bodies pale and still, their minds stored safely in digital memory. The ship began to restore them, recreating flesh and bone with advanced machines that fused technology and biology together. The first human to awaken was Commander Rian. His eyes opened slowly as the glass above him slid aside. Warm air filled his lungs for the first time in ages. His memories came back in flashes. Earth, war, stars, and finally the great departure. He sat up, feeling the hum of the ship all around him. A glowing sphere floated near him and projected soft light. It spoke with the voice of the ship's AI. "Welcome back, Commander Ryan. You have been in stasis for 40,027 years. The mission has reached completion stage. Humanity's silence has ended." Ryan touched the metal floor and looked around at the endless rows of pods. Thousands of others were awakening. Men and women stretching, gasping, blinking in confusion. Their faces showed both wonder and fear. "What is our status?" Ryan asked. His voice was dry but steady. "Primary systems operational. External hull stable. Power generation at 90%. We are located within an uncharted dark region now named the Veil of Silence. Contact with alien life forms detected. The Dominion of Zarn has registered our reactivation." Rian's expression hardened. He remembered that name. The Zarn had once been minor traders during the time of humanity's last empire. Now they ruled the stars. "Show me the records," he said. A holographic screen appeared showing the new map of the galaxy. It was unfamiliar. Human worlds were gone, renamed or erased. The stars once marked as colonies now belonged to the Dominion. Humanity had been erased from history books. "They forgot us," Rian said quietly. "They believed extinction," replied the AI. "But the Solace remembers. The Ark carries the essence of every world humanity once built. The time of return is now." Rian stood and walked through the corridor, looking at the symbols etched into the walls. They told stories of the old human era, the journey beyond the stars, the wars that tore the galaxy apart, and the final decision to escape and rebuild. The mission had been called Solace, meant to preserve the species far from conflict. Now, after eons, the mission was ready to end. Outside the ship, the veil shimmered with power. The Ark's shields expanded, pushing away dust and debris. Giant wings of light unfolded from its sides, stretching across kilometers of space. The ancient engines charged, fueled by technology that seemed more alive than mechanical. In a nearby system, Dominion scout ships watched the event in disbelief. Their leader, Officer Craw, sent constant updates to his superiors. "The object is not of Dominion design," he reported. "It is activating at impossible energy levels. It claims human origin." "Approach with caution," came the reply from command. Craw guided his ship closer. As they neared, the Solace turned its massive structure slightly, and a beam of light passed over the scout vessel. Every system froze. The Dominion ship's engines stopped responding. Then a message appeared on their screens, written in an ancient human language translated instantly by the computer. "Do not interfere. The Ark returns." The Dominion ship retreated at once, engines burning bright as they escaped the region. Back inside Solace, Ryan met with his newly awakened officers in the command hall. The room was vast, filled with glowing panels and ancient banners showing the old human symbol, a circle of stars around a single hand. "We slept too long," said Ryan. "The galaxy changed without us. But our mission remains. Humanity must rise again, not as conquerors, but as builders of a new dawn." Engineer Lena, a young woman with silver implants, looked at him with curiosity. "Commander, what if the galaxy no longer wants us? The Dominion already sees us as a threat." Ryan smiled faintly. "Then we show them who we are. Humanity never feared the unknown. We faced it and grew stronger." The AI spoke again. "External contact detected. Multiple Dominion fleets are approaching the Veil. Estimated time to arrival, 7 hours. Then our return will not go unnoticed," Rian said. "Prepare defenses. Activate the Ark's cloak. We will not fight unless forced." As the humans worked, ancient machines deep within the Ark continued to awaken. Some halls were filled with green light as forests grew within the ship, providing oxygen and food. Rivers of purified water flowed through transparent channels. It was not just a ship. It was a world, a moving city built to preserve life. Children's laughter echoed faintly through the lower decks, holograms of past generations that the ship played as memory songs. Ryan paused as he walked past one projection. It showed a young boy pointing at stars, saying he would go there one day. He felt a weight in his chest. That dream had carried them across ages. Now it was time to make it real again. In the command center, the crew finished their preparations. The great engines roared softly, space bending around them. The Solace was ready to move. "Commander," said the AI, "the Dominion fleet is almost here. Shall we engage or withdraw?" Ryan looked at the holographic map. Red dots filled the screen, representing the approaching fleet. He took a deep breath. "We withdraw. Let them see but not catch us. Activate slipstream drive." "Confirmed." The ship's wings brightened until the darkness itself seemed to fade. The Solace vanished into hyperspace, leaving only a fading trail of light. Hours later, the Dominion fleets reached the Veil. They found nothing, only silence and a faint residue of energy. Lord Vashar, the ruler of the Dominion, received the report with anger. "They dare to hide? Find them. I want that ship captured. If humanity has truly returned, we must destroy them before they become a threat." But not everyone in the Dominion agreed. Among their scientists and explorers, some whispered with excitement. The return of humans could change everything. Their knowledge, their forgotten technology, it could reshape the galaxy. The old legend said that humans were unpredictable, yet their courage and invention had once saved many worlds. Some even believed that the galaxy owed its current peace to the sacrifices humans made long ago. Still, fear spread faster than hope. Armies were prepared and propaganda began to fill the news networks. The message was clear. The humans have returned and they must be stopped. Meanwhile, the Solace emerged near a quiet system filled with red suns and dead planets. The crew started scanning for resources. Ryan stood by the observation deck watching the stars. Lena joined him. "Do you think we can rebuild here?" Ryan nodded slowly. "Every world is a beginning. Humanity has always built from ruins." The AI interrupted their thoughts. "Commander, long-range sensors show multiple distress beacons across the galaxy. Many enslaved worlds still send coded calls for freedom. It seems the Dominion's rule is not as peaceful as it appears." Rian's eyes narrowed. "Then our return may have a greater purpose than survival. Perhaps it is time we remind this galaxy what it means to be human." The AI responded with a calm tone. "Mission parameters updated. Humanity's awakening shall include restoration of justice." Ryan turned to the crew. "Prepare for expansion. We will rebuild not only for ourselves, but for those who need us." The silence is over. Now the stars will hear our voice again. As the Solace drifted through space, its engines glowed brighter, forming trails of light that stretched across the void. For the first time in 40,000 years, the galaxy saw human ships moving once more. On distant worlds, old monuments of humanity lit up, reacting to the Orcs' awakening. Across half the galaxy, a new message began to echo through ancient channels. "We are humanity. We remember. The legend that once faded into dust was alive again, and the galaxy, long ruled by cold order, was about to feel warmth and fear, returning to its heart." The galaxy had changed beyond recognition. In the age of humanity's fall, there had been freedom, discovery, and endless stars open to explore. Now most systems were under the rule of the Dominion. Every planet was marked by their symbol, a golden claw gripping a burning star. What once had been colonies of life and invention were now centers of control. When the Solace emerged from hyperspace near the old Sol system, the crew stood silent. Where once had been Earth, home of their ancestors, there was nothing but fragments of rock and a faint ring of dust. The planet was gone, shattered long ago. Commander Rian stood on the main observation deck staring at the remains. His reflection glimmered faintly against the transparent wall. Behind him, Engineer Lena watched the readings from her console. "It is true," she said softly. "Earth no longer exists. The system is empty." Ryan nodded slowly. "They destroyed their cradle, perhaps by war, perhaps by time, but even ashes hold memory." The AI voice of the Solace spoke calmly. "Scanning complete. Residual human technology detected on Mars orbit. A large station remains partially functional. Origin human empire, final generation." Ryan turned. "Bring us closer." The Ark moved forward through the quiet dark, engines humming gently. The ruined red planet came into view, and above it floated a massive ring-shaped station. It was broken in several places, but light still flickered deep within. As the Solace approached, it sent small drones to explore. Inside they found walls covered with dust, old machines still humming weakly, and empty chambers filled with floating tools and forgotten messages. One message, hidden deep in the central core, began to play automatically. It was a recording from the last human era. A woman's voice spoke through static, weary but proud. To whoever finds this, we did not die in despair. We built the Ark. We left to give humanity another chance. If you return, remember us not for our end, but for our hope. The crew stood silent as the message ended. Lena whispered, "They believed in us." Ryan closed his eyes for a moment. "And we have returned just as they wished." While the humans explored their lost home, the galaxy was far from calm. Across Dominion space, the sudden reappearance of human signals caused chaos. Some citizens were terrified, others curious. Many small species once oppressed by the Dominion began to whisper of rebellion. In a hidden base on the planet Aura, a small group of rebels listened to the same human transmission that had echoed across the stars. The leader, a tall being named Fen, stared at the signal replaying on his screen. "It says they are returning," he said. "If this is true, then maybe our time has come." The rebels nodded. Humanity had always been a symbol of freedom in ancient stories. If they truly returned, they could inspire the galaxy once more. Back aboard the Solace, the humans began restoring old technology. Machines from the ancient station were repaired and connected to the Ark systems. Through these relics, they accessed fragments of the old human network, records, images, and voices of a time long gone. Holograms filled the command hall, showing children playing under blue skies, cities built in clouds, and great fleets sailing through the stars. The crew watched with silent awe. Lena turned to Ryan. "They were dreamers. They built so much, and yet they lost it all." Ryan replied, "They did not lose everything. They left us their memory and their hope. It is our duty to bring that back." As he spoke, the Solace's sensors detected approaching ships. Dominion patrols had discovered their location. A dozen heavy cruisers moved in fast formation. The AI announced, "Dominion fleet incoming. Estimated contact in 5 minutes. Their weapons are locked. Communication channels are open." Ryan faced the holographic screen. "Open the channel." A tall, scaled figure appeared on the display, an officer of the Dominion fleet. His yellow eyes glowed coldly. "I am Commander Threx of the Dominion," he said. "You are trespassing in restricted space. Identify yourself or be destroyed." Ryan stood firm. "I am Commander Ryan of humanity. We have returned to our home. We will not harm anyone unless forced." "Stand down." Threx gave a low laugh. "Humanity is a dead myth. You are nothing but scavengers using their name." "Then test that myth," Ryan said calmly. The Dominion fleet fired first. Blue plasma bolts flew toward the Solace, lighting the darkness. The human ship did not move. Its shields glowed faintly, absorbing every blast without harm. Then from its sides, small silver orbs detached and formed a glowing barrier around it. "Defensive field stable," the AI reported. "Do not attack," Ryan ordered. "Send an energy pulse to disable their weapons only." A single beam of light shot from the Ark and spread across space like a wave. The Dominion ships froze. Their engines died and their weapons went dark. Alarms filled their bridges as their systems failed one by one. Threx shouted in confusion, "What have you done?" Ryan's voice came through calm and steady. "We have no wish to fight. Remember this moment and tell your leaders, humanity has returned, not for war, but for remembrance." The communication ended. The Dominion ships drifted powerless in the void as the Solace moved away, leaving them unharmed but shaken. News of the event spread quickly across the galaxy. The Dominion tried to hide it, but the truth reached every corner through secret channels. The message became a whisper on every world. The humans have returned. For many species, it was a spark of hope. For the Dominion, it was a warning. Lord Vasher sat in the Grand Hall of Zarnath watching the reports. "They disable fleets without destruction," he said. "They show strength but not hatred. This is worse than I feared. They will inspire others," his advisor bowed. "Shall we declare war?" Vashar shook his head slowly. "Not yet. Find their base. Learn their weakness. Then strike." On the Solace, the humans began building new stations around Mars' orbit. They named the first one Haven 1. It was both home and symbol, a declaration that humanity had truly returned. Rian stood before the workers. watching as towers rose and lights flickered to life. Lena approached him. "It feels strange," she said, "to rebuild where our world once stood. It is like talking to ghosts." "Ghosts built the path we walk on," Ryan replied. "We owe them this." As they spoke, a signal came from beyond the system. It was faint but familiar, the same distress code that had appeared earlier. The AI translated it. Origin unknown. Message reads, "To the returning humans we seek aid. We are not your enemies. The Dominion enslaves us. Help us." Lena's eyes widened. Another species asking for help. "What should we do?" Ryan looked toward the stars. "We came back to rebuild, but maybe rebuilding means more than restoring our worlds. Maybe it means restoring freedom wherever it is lost." He turned to the crew. "To repair a small fleet, we will go see who called us. The time to stay hidden is over." The next day, a group of human ships departed Haven 1. They were smaller than the Solace, but built with the same living metal that shimmered under starlight. They traveled through hyperspace to the source of the signal. They emerged near a small blue planet surrounded by debris. Dominion warships were in orbit, attacking a colony below. The colony's people were insect-like beings known as the Trin, once a proud species, now enslaved by the Dominion. The humans acted quickly. Their ships moved in formation, shields glowing bright. The Dominion forces tried to resist, but their weapons barely scratched the human ships. Within minutes, the battle was over. Rian contacted the planet. "We are humans," he said. "Your signal reached us. You are free." On the surface, the Trin people wept with joy. They had heard tales of humans, stories told in secret for generations. Now those stories stood before them, real and alive. The Trin leader, a frail elder, spoke through the communication channel. "For thousands of years we prayed for the return of the old ones. You have come," Ryan answered with quiet strength. "We do not claim to be gods or saviors. We are travelers who lost their way, but now that we are here, we will not turn away from those who need us." The colony cheered. Across nearby systems, the word spread faster than light. Humans had liberated a world. As the Solace and its fleet returned to Haven 1, the galaxy began to stir. Rebellion started in secret corners. Songs of old humanity were sung again in markets and spaceports. Rian stood before his crew in the Grand Command Hall. "We came back to find ashes, but we have found purpose. The Dominion will try to stop us, but they do not understand. Humanity does not rise for power. We rise for hope." The AI's voice filled the room. "Commander, incoming transmission from unknown source. Encryption matches early human design. Message reads, 'Welcome home, Solace.' Others are waiting." The crew exchanged looks of surprise. Ryan smiled faintly. "Others," he said. "We were not the only Ark." The room filled with light as the hologram expanded, showing multiple signals across distant stars, all human in origin. The Ark Solace was not alone. Humanity's silence had ended, and now the galaxy was about to hear their voice in full. The galaxy was no longer calm. After the return of humanity, whispers of rebellion grew louder across the stars. On many worlds, slaves began to rise. The Dominion tried to crush them, but new hope had already taken root. Everywhere, people spoke of the humans who had come from the dark and challenged the strongest empire without fear. In the vast space of the Orion Arm, fleets began to gather. The Dominion prepared for war. Massive carriers and destroyers filled the void, their weapons ready. Lord Vasher stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dominus Claw, watching reports from every sector. "Rebellions in 15 systems," his officer said. 3 colonies have joined the humans openly. Their ships are fast, their weapons unknown. Our fleets cannot match them." Vasher slammed his clawed hand against the railing. "They think their myths give them power. We will show them reality. Order every available ship to form the Grand Armada. The humans will learn what it means to face the Dominion." Far from the Dominion's core, the Solace floated near a nebula that glowed like blue fire. Around it, newly built human ships moved in formation. Each ship was sleek and alive, its hull shifting and breathing like a living thing. The humans had mastered biometal technology that allowed their vessels to heal and adapt. Commander Rian stood on the bridge, surrounded by his officers. Engineer Lena and several other leaders were studying maps of Dominion territory. "We have messages from more worlds," Lena said. "The Trin are ready to fight beside us. The Varro and the Lean have joined too. They all suffered under Dominion rule." Ryan nodded. "They will fight for freedom, not for us." That is the difference between humans and the Dominion. We inspire, we do not command. The AI voice of the Solace spoke. Analysis shows the Dominion preparing a large offensive. Estimated fleet strength exceeds ours by 20 to 1. Ryan smiled slightly. Then it is fair. Lena looked at him, unsure if he was serious. Fair? They outnumber us 20 times over. He turned toward her. When humans stood against darkness before, we never measured strength by numbers. We measured it by spirit, and that is something they cannot copy. The Allied fleet formed near the liberated Trin world. Thousands of ships from many species joined the humans. Some were old and damaged, others newly built with human guidance. Together they waited for the Dominion's approach. Ryan stood before the combined commanders. His words echoed through every ship in the fleet. Today we fight not for revenge, but for remembrance. The Dominion forgot that freedom cannot be chained forever. We will remind them that no empire lasts forever when people stand together. Humanity was silent for 40,000 years. Today we speak again. The fleet roared in response. Moments later, the Dominion armada appeared. It filled the sky, stretching across the stars like a storm of fire. Lord Vasher's voice came through the comms. Humans, surrender now. You are ancient relics lost in time. The galaxy has no place for you. Ryan replied calmly. The galaxy belongs to all who live in it. You cannot own the stars. Then the war began. The Dominion ships opened fire first. Beams of energy cut through space, explosions lighting the void. The Allied fleet moved swiftly, forming circular formations around the Solace. Human ships darted between enemy lines, their living metal hulls bending light, confusing sensors. The Solace released waves of small drones that spread like sparks. Each drone connected with others, forming a web of light that covered the battlefield. It redirected enemy fire and protected the Allied ships. Rian gave his orders with calm precision. Focus on disabling their flagships. Spare those who surrender. Human technology proved overwhelming. Their ships learned during battle, adapting to enemy attacks. When the Dominion changed weapons, the human shields reshaped themselves to counter. Still, the fight was not easy. The Dominion was vast and their determination fierce. Several human ships fell, their glowing hulls fading into silence. Each loss struck hard, but the humans did not stop. Lena worked endlessly at her console. Commander, their right flank is breaking. We can push through. Hold position, Rian said. We fight to free, not to destroy. The Allied fleet pressed forward. The Trin ships followed closely, their pilots shouting in joy as they struck back at their old masters. The Varro cruisers launched energy nets that captured Dominion fighters. The battle raged for hours, turning the void into a field of fire and light. Finally, the Dominus Claw came into view. It was the largest ship in the Dominion fleet, a fortress of metal and fury. Lord Vasher himself stood on its bridge, his eyes burning with hatred. Target the human ark, he ordered. End this now. Hundreds of Dominion cannons focused on the Solace. The air inside the human ship vibrated as the shields took hit after hit. Alarms echoed through the corridors. Lena turned to Ryan. We cannot hold this for long. Rian placed a hand on the console. We will. Humanity never runs from storms. He looked up at the ceiling where the AI's core lights flickered. Activate the memory pulse. The AI paused for a moment. Confirmed. Preparing sequence. A deep hum filled the Solace. The energy from the ship's core began to build, rising higher until the hull shone like a small star. The Dominion ships continued firing, but their weapons lost power as the human field expanded. Then the pulse released. A wave of pure light spread from the ark across the battlefield. It was not a weapon. It was a memory. Every ship touched by the wave saw flashes of history. Human children running through green fields, oceans shining under twin suns, people laughing, building, dreaming. Even Lord Vasher froze as the images appeared before him. He saw ancient humans standing side by side, not as conquerors, but as creators. The wave carried their emotions, their hope, pain, and courage. It reached every mind on the field, human and alien alike. When the light faded, silence filled the void. Many Dominion captains lowered their weapons. They felt something they had not felt in generations, remorse and awe. Ryan's voice broke the silence. This is who we are. We are not ghosts of war. We are the memory of life itself. If you still wish to fight, then you fight against your own heart. One by one, Dominion ships shut down their weapons. Some surrendered, others retreated. The Allied fleet stood victorious. not by destruction but by awakening something greater inside their enemies. After the battle, the surviving fleets gathered near the Trin world once more. There were tears and cheers. The stars around them shone brighter than ever. Humanity had shown the galaxy that power was not only in weapons but in memory and unity. Lena walked beside Ryan on the bridge of the Solace. "You did it," she said quietly. "You made them remember what peace feels like." Ryan shook his head. "We all did. This war was not about victory. It was about truth," the AI spoke. "Commander, reports from multiple systems show Dominion forces withdrawing. Several species are declaring independence. The balance of power is shifting." "Good," Ryan said. "But our work is not over. The galaxy must not replace one empire with another. It must learn to stand together." On Zarnath, Lord Vasher sat alone in his dark throne room. The images from the memory pulse still haunted him. He had seen human faces smiling at him, offering peace. It broke something inside him that he had never known could break. His advisor entered carefully. "My lord, what are your orders?" Vashar looked up, his voice quiet. "We will not attack again. Let them rebuild. The Dominion will survive, but not through fear. Perhaps it is time to learn what they know." Weeks later, new alliances formed. The liberated species began building a council of equals guided by the humans. The Solace became a beacon of unity, visited by beings from every corner of the galaxy. Children from many races ran through its great halls, playing together under the light of the stars. The humans taught them about the past, how war had once ended everything and how remembrance had brought it all back. Ryan often stood at the observation deck, looking at the stars. 40,000 years ago, we left to escape destruction," he said to Lena one evening. "Now we have returned not to rule but to heal. That is what it means to be human," Lena smiled. "And the galaxy will never forget it again." The Solace drifted slowly through space, its wings glowing like a promise. Across the galaxy, people spoke one name with respect: humanity. They were no longer ghosts of a forgotten age. They were the living memory of courage and compassion. And though the war had ended, their journey had only begun. Months passed after the Great War. The galaxy was changing faster than anyone had believed possible. The Dominion, once feared by all, had fallen silent. Its fleets were gone, its governors defeated or withdrawn. The stars that once trembled under its rule now shone with freedom. At the heart of this new dawn drifted the Solace, the ancient human ark that had awakened after 40,000 years. It had become a home not only for humans but for many who sought peace. The ship moved through space slowly, visiting liberated worlds, offering aid and rebuilding hope. Commander Rian stood on the bridge, watching the view before him. A world below glowed with life, its cities rising again after years of oppression. The sight filled him with calm. For the first time since humanity's return, the galaxy no longer burned. Engineer Lena approached quietly. "Reconstruction on the Trin world is almost complete. The people there are calling it New Terra in honor of Earth." Ryan smiled faintly. "A fitting name. The spirit of Earth lives wherever hope begins again." The AI voice of the Solace spoke softly. "Commander, several envoys from liberated systems request an audience. They wish to form a council of unity." "Good," Ryan said. "Let them come aboard. It is time we decide how the galaxy will move forward." Hours later, the great hall of the Solace was filled with representatives from dozens of species. Each had suffered under the Dominion's rule. Now they came to build something better. The air shimmered with anticipation and uncertainty. Rian stepped forward. His voice was calm but carried strength. "For ages, the galaxy was divided by fear and control. That time is over. We have seen what happens when one power rules over others. Humanity returned not to claim the stars but to remind them that they belong to everyone." A tall Varo speaker rose. "Then who shall lead this new order? Every world fears that without guidance, chaos will return." Ryan looked around the room. No single race should lead. Leadership must be shared. Decisions must be made together. Humanity offers to help build this system but will not sit above it. Murmurs spread through the crowd. A lean delegate, small and graceful, said, "Then perhaps the Solace can serve as the seat of unity. A place where all may come to speak." Lena smiled. That would make the Solace what it was always meant to be, a home for all who seek peace. The council members nodded in agreement. The decision was made. The Solace would become the center of a new galactic alliance, open to every species that valued freedom and cooperation. In the weeks that followed, The halls of the Ark changed. Corridors once filled only with humans now echoed with the voices of many kinds of life. Workshops were built for engineers of different races. Gardens were created where Trin children played beside human ones. Lena walked through these new sections each day, helping wherever she could. She felt a quiet pride in what humanity had started. After centuries of silence, they had not returned as conquerors but as builders of peace. One day she found Rian standing alone in the observation chamber, staring at the stars. "You do not rest," she said with a soft laugh. He smiled gently. "I rest when the stars rest." She stood beside him. "You should be proud. You ended a war without turning into what we once feared to become." Ryan nodded slowly. It was never about winning battles. It was about proving that we could rise above them. Outside, ships of many races moved together, carrying supplies and hope to worlds that had forgotten both. But peace was never simple. Somewhere in the far reaches of space, remnants of the Dominion still existed. Small groups of commanders refused to surrender. They believed the humans had used forbidden power and would one day betray the galaxy. One night, a message arrived. A Dominion warlord named Serac had taken control of an old fortress world. He was gathering ships and soldiers, claiming he would rebuild the old empire. The council gathered quickly. Some delegates were afraid. Others were angry. Rian stood before them. "We will not allow another empire to rise on fear, but we must act with care. If we destroy them as the Dominion once destroyed others, we become what we fought against." The lean speaker asked, "Then what will you do?" Ryan's answer was simple. "We will remind them as we reminded the others. Not with threats, but with truth." Days later, the Solace arrived near Serac's world. The sky was dark and filled with warships. Serac's forces were preparing for battle. When Rian appeared on their communication screens, Serac laughed. "So the heroes of peace come to lecture me. You are no better than the Dominion. You only hide your power behind kind words." Ryan's face stayed calm. "You are wrong. Power is not in how many ships we command, but in what we choose to do with them. You still think rule means control. Humanity learned long ago that rule must mean responsibility." Serac sneered. "You think your words can change me?"
"No," Ryan said.
"But maybe your people can change themselves." At his signal, the Solace released a beam of light, not a weapon, but an image. Across Serac's world, the sky filled with memories again. This time they were not of war, but of unity. The images showed freed worlds rebuilding, children laughing, and people from many races living together without chains. The soldiers on Serac's ships saw it. Many began to lower their weapons. Some turned their ships away. Serac watched in disbelief as his fleet began to crumble without a single shot fired. He shouted, "Traitors! Fools!" But his own second-in-command stepped forward. "No, my lord. We are free at last." Serac tried to fight, but his power was gone. His ship surrendered peacefully. The last shadow of the Dominion fell that day, not by destruction, but by choice. When the Solace returned to the Central Worlds, the Council greeted them as heroes. But Ryan refused to take any special praise. He told the gathering, "Peace will not last because of us. It will last because every being here believes in something greater than fear. That belief is what will carry this galaxy into its future." The Varo speaker said, "Then let this day be remembered as the beginning of the new age of stars." Cheers filled the hall. Years passed. The Solace continued to travel, guiding the young alliance through its early years. Ryan grew older, though his spirit never dimmed. Lena became one of the leading voices of science, helping connect the knowledge of all races. One evening, the two stood together again on the same observation deck where they had once spoken after the war. "The galaxy is healing," Lena said. "I can feel it," Ryan nodded. "Humanity spent 40,000 years in silence. We thought our time had ended. But maybe silence was what we needed, to remember who we were." She smiled. "And now?" "Now," he said, "we remember what we can be." The stars outside shimmered. Fleets of many worlds moved together not as enemies, but as companions of the same endless sky. Decades later, stories of the humans became legend again, but this time, not tales of destruction or fear. The children of new generations learned that when the galaxy had fallen into darkness, it was the humans who returned to bring light. The Solace became a symbol, a living memory traveling among the stars. Some called it a ship, others a city, but to most it was hope given form. Within its halls, the inscription was written in hundreds of languages. For 40,000 years, we were silent. Now our silence has ended. We are humanity, and we remember. On one quiet night, Ryan stood alone in the great chamber. He was old, his hair silver, but his eyes still bright. The AI's voice echoed softly. "Commander, you should rest," he smiled. "I will soon. But first, I want to see the sunrise of a new world." Outside, a planet turned slowly, its oceans shining blue and its clouds glowing gold. It was one of the newest worlds terraformed by the Alliance. Humanity had helped shape it, but it belonged to all. Ryan placed his hand on the glass. "We came back to find what we lost," he whispered. "And we found something greater. A home not for one world, but for all who dream." He turned, walking down the long hall filled with banners of every race. Behind him, the Solace continued its slow journey through the stars, carrying the memory of humanity and the promise of the future. And so, the long silence of humankind ended not in fire, but in peace. The galaxy, once divided, now shared a single truth, that the smallest voice, if it carries hope, can echo across eternity. Humanity had not vanished. They had simply waited, watching from the dark, until the stars were ready for their return. Now they walked among them again, not as conquerors, but as guardians of light. The legend of the Solace lived on, whispered by travelers across the endless sky, the story of a people who vanished into silence and came back to teach the stars how to dream again.